Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today it's time to see my reaction to the Goodreads Choice Awards 2024. So the Goodreads Choice Awards posted their long list last night at like 11 o'clock and I haven't looked at it yet. I've been dying to. So I wanted to take you guys on my journey of discovering what the long list is for 2024. If you haven't heard of the Goodreads Choice Awards, it is a list that Goodreads puts together every year where anybody who has a Goodreads account can vote on their favorite. They give you a list of, I think it was 17 categories last year, and there are 20 books in each category. Those are accumulated from people at Goodreads. There are different stipulations, like it has to be above a 3.5 average rating. It has to be published in, like, there are certain dates. It's like early November of last year in 2023 to early November in this year of 2024 in order to be on the Goodreads Choice Awards. And then we get together and we vote on what we think the best book in each of these categories is. I did do a predictions video for fantasy. I will put that in the description down below if you guys are interested in what my original predictions are. But today we are going to go through the fantasy list and I'm essentially going to tell you what I predicted and what I didn't predict. So without further ado, let's get to it. This is going to be my first peek at the Goodreads Choice Awards for this year. I'm really excited. I haven't looked at anything yet, so I don't know. I mean, other than like obviously what I can see on the screen, I don't know what the categories are going to be or anything like that. And so we're going to do that first. And then we'll get into my fantasy reactions. So let's see what the categories are for this year. So I feel like this is less than it was last year. I think I read somewhere that it was 15 categories, or actually it might have been like up at the very top. I don't know. I saw something about 15 categories, so I swear I haven't like sat here and counted before I talk to you guys. So mystery, thriller, romance, historical fiction, those are all the same. Romantasy. So I was wondering whether or not they were going to keep that category. So I know that a lot of people will be happy that they are. And I'm happy as well that those are like outside of the fantasy category. I don't know. Oh, audiobook. That's new. Interesting. And okay, the rest of them I'm not really excited about. But okay, so I'm gonna go right into fantasy. I already see some ones that I wanted on the list. Okay, let's see. So I am going to go through each of these, and I have my handy dandy highlighter here, and I'm going to be highlighting the books that I had on the top 20. I won't be able to give you guys my full like number of points that I get for the game that I played for my fantasy predictions because I don't know what the top 10 are yet, or like I don't know what the order of the ranking is because people haven't voted yet. And so I'm just going to be able to tell you a precursory, like, this is how many points I got just from guessing that they would be in the top 20. So I'm pretty proud of myself because The Foxwife is one I had never heard of before, and it's in here. So that's exciting. Voyage of the Damned, I think I did. I predicted it. I was going to say I almost didn't because that was one that had like a weird publishing thing. A Sweet Sting of Salt, I have no idea what that is. So didn't predict that one. A Sorceress Comes to Call, I did predict. A Lost Story, I see on the next line. I did predict that one as well. The Tainted Cup, I did predict. When Among Crows, I think, did I predict that one? I did. Look at me go. Emily Wilds, I definitely predicted. The Night Ends with Fire, I did not. And I did see this in my searches. At least I don't think I did. No, I didn't. I did see this in a couple of searches that I did, but I didn't know if it was going to make the list. Warm Hand of Ghost, I also predicted. The Bright Sword, I'm pretty sure it was on my list as well. Yes, it was. Academy for Liars was on my honorable mentions, so that sucks. The Familiar, I did predict. The Dead Cattail Assassins, I don't think I predicted, but it was on my like preliminary list that had like 30 books on it. But I just didn't hear anybody talking about it. So that's why I didn't add it to my list. Yeah, it's not on here. Wait, no, okay, it's not. A Song to Drown Rivers. I recognize that cover, but I'm pretty sure I didn't put that on my list. No, it's not on here. Somewhere Beyond the Sea, I did predict. Blackbird Oracle, I did predict. Five Broken Blades, interesting. So I would have put that in the romantasy category, and I am not an expert in romantasy by any means, but I've heard that that has a lot of romance in it, so I didn't even think to put it on my list because of that. And the Book of Doors. Guys, I'm so excited that that made the list. I mean, it should have based on, like, all of the number of ratings and everything. Empire of the Damned, I also predicted. So, okay, let me count and see how many that means that I got from, like, how many points I got. Now, remember from that other video, 12 is the number that I wanna hit. That would be meeting my goal, and then 13 would be blowing it out of the water. So, we'll see. I got 14 points. Just from my initial, like, that doesn't even count as far as, like, I get extra or additional points if I get them in the correct placements. So I already get my my rewards, which if you haven't watched that video, I will link it in the description and up in the cards if you guys are interested. But my rewards were essentially, if I were to accomplish this, I get to purchase a Goodreads Choice Awards nominee from any category, and I get to purchase a favorite. So, like, a favorite of the year. And so I'm excited. I get my reward, and I don't even have to wait until the top 10. But I am still excited about this list because a lot of the books that I predicted were going to be or are on here. Now, I am going to just really quick tell you who I think the top 5 will be out of the list that are up here. This isn't for any points. This is just now that I know the top 20, I'm going to tell you what I think the top 5 will be. So I do think the familiar will win. Lee Bardugo is someone who she's got name recognition, she has a ton of following, and so I think that that's a shoe in. Not necessarily that I think that should win because I haven't read The Familiar. It's actually sitting on my couch right now in preparation for this, so I can probably pick that up now because I do think that one will win. I think that Emily Wilde's will come in second. Um, because and I guess I'm just reading you my list because all of my top 5, yeah, all of my top 5 that I predicted are in this. So I do think that Emily Wilds would come in second. Somewhere Beyond the Sea will come in third. The Tainted Cup, I'm hoping comes in fourth. I think it's so well deserving. It's an amazing book. And then I really hope that the Book of Doors comes in at least fifth place. I'm going to tell you right now that this is my vote. I absolutely love the Book of Doors. My favorite book of the year right now. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's so deserving of praise, and it's a debut author. So yes, there you go. I don't usually vote on my reaction videos, but I'm going to vote for it because I really want it to get into the top 10. I want it to win. I think that it is just a fantastic book. Okay, so now let me tell you guys. One of the things I was going to tell you is how many of these I've read. So, read, The Book of Doors, Sorceress Comes to Call, Emily Wilde's, Tainted Cup. I started an Academy for Liars, but I didn't finish it, and I don't know if I will, so it might be a DNF, but I'm not gonna count that because I haven't finished it. And then When Among Crows I've read. So I've read 5 of the 20, which is not great. Um, but, I mean, I will say there are some of these that I'm not interested in, just on what I know, like A Sweet Sting of Salt, I don't even know what that's about, so I can't say whether or not I'm interested in it. I have from when I originally read the synopsis for Five Broken Blades, I don't think that it's something I wanna read. I haven't read House in the Cerulean Sea, so I'm probably not gonna read Somewhere Beyond the Sea. A Song to Drown Rivers, I think, is a mythology retelling, so I am not interested in that. Obviously, I wanna read, Voyage of the Damned, I just haven't gotten to it yet. The Foxwife is one that I could go either way. Blackbird Oracle, I would like to read, but I haven't read any of the series, and it's number 5 in the series. Obviously, you wanna read The Familiar, mainly because I think it's gonna win. The Lost Story, I'm kind of up in the air about. I'm not sure if I wanna read it. The Warm Hands of Ghosts, I don't think is for me. Academy of Liars, we've already talked about. The Bright Sword is on my TBR, although for whatever reason, it's not on my want to read list here. The Dead Cattail Assassins, I just haven't heard much about, so I don't know that I'm interested in reading it, and then I'm not interested in The Night Ends with Fire. So, I do think this is a good list, though. Like, I'm not mad about it. Let us go to horror next. And I didn't make predictions on horror. I like to check because horror is something that I'm getting more into. And last year, I actually had read quite a few of the nominees. This year, I don't think I'm going to be quite as successful, but we'll see. Okay, so in this first row, I haven't read any of them. I've heard of the first two. Well, actually, I guess I've heard of all of them. But the first two are ones that I am interested in, but I have not read yet. I am so glad to see My Darling Dreadful Thing be on this list because that book was absolutely phenomenal. That will probably be the one that I vote for, but let's get through the rest of the list. What Feast at Night is one that I need to read. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So far I've only read one. That's okay. Stephen Graham Jones, I didn't realize he had 2 books out this year. I don't know if, he is for me. I tried one of his books. It was, actually, I think the one that started this series, uh, and I just don't know that I like his writing. Uh, I've read Incidents Around the House, and I've heard of all of these except for Blood Like Mine. I am interested in the Book of the Witching. I just haven't gotten to it yet, and So Thirsty, I haven't read anything by Rachel Harrison, so I would like to. I don't know if that's the one I'm gonna read, though. The eyes are the best part. I am happy to see on this list. I haven't read it yet, but I am intrigued. I'm also happy to see Indian Burial Ground on this list. I tried to read it. It wasn't for me. I did like Nick Medina's Sisters of the Lost Nation. And I do think that he writes indigenous stories, at least the one that I've read very well. And so I was happy to see another one of his on the list. We used to live here. I've been waiting so long for this on Libby, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. All of these four I've heard of and would like to read. The Bog Wife, I'm glad to see that on here. I haven't read it, but I've heard good things. Diavola, I'm glad to see on here. Once again, I haven't read it. Murder Road, I knew Simone St. James was probably going to be on the list. And House of Bones, I've heard, or House of Bone and Rain, I've heard good things about. Interesting. So out of this whole list, I've read 2 of them because My Darling Dreadful Thing and Incidents Around the House. And I'm going to vote for My Darling Dreadful Thing. So you guys are just seeing what I vote for today. Okay, the next category I just kind of want to peruse is romantasy, and that might be the final category that I do. And you guys will know because I'll stop talking to you. Okay, let's see about romantasy. Okay, so right off the bat, Sarah J. Maas is probably gonna win. Like I don't know any of the other nominees. I've heard of A Dark and Drowning Tide, but I haven't read it. But Sarah J. Maas is on the list, so that's kind of a shoe in. Zodiac Academy, I know about. When the Moon Hatched, I am reading this month. So, a Jennifer L. Armentrout, I figured was going to be on this list somewhere. And I've heard of Fate Inked in Blood, haven't read it. I've read The Spell Shop. I've read one of these guys. The rest of those I haven't heard. Well, I've heard of Quicksilver. Phantasma, I've heard of. Feybound, I've heard of. The others I haven't. The Honey Witch, I've heard of. An Apprentice to the Villain, I've heard of. And I think the games Gods Play, I've heard really good things about. I recognize that cover. But yeah, this just isn't my category. Okay. I do want to check out the audiobook. And this, I'm sure it's going to be a mix of, um, a whole bunch of different genres. And so I want to see what they did with this category because I just think it's very interesting. Um, so the first row, I only know about The First Light Wins, which I think is a thriller. Interesting. I'm assuming this is a new audio? It's definitely not a new book. Hmm. We Solve Murders. I did listen to that on audio, and the audiobook was good. I wonder what the qualifications are for getting into the best audiobook. I would be interested to see. Somewhere Beyond the Sea is in here. And I haven't read, like I said, I haven't read The House on the Cerulean Sea either, and so I don't know anything about the audiobooks, but good to see it on the list. James, I've heard good things about the book. I don't know anything about the audio. Hmm. I would say like this This is a disappointing list to me because I don't think well, I guess there's one fantasy on the list, and I know that they're mixing a whole bunch of different categories, and so it's probably hard for them, but I would like to see full cast books on the list, and, like, a lot of, like, nonfiction is probably not gonna be full cast, uh, most thrillers, or mysteries well, I guess mysteries sometimes are. And I guess some thrillers are too. I'm being too judgmental. But, uh, this list is kind of disappointing to me. Okay, the last one I'm gonna check out with you guys is debut novel, because I am hoping that The Book of Doors is on this list because it is debut and it made it into the fantasy category. So fingers crossed, my friends, that it makes the list. Let's see. Yay! Yep, we'll be voting for this. I don't even need to see the rest of them. I'm excited that it's on the list. Okay. I don't know any of the top row. I guess I didn't know Voyage of the Damned was a debut. Interesting. I love this cover. I'm gonna have to check out that book. I'll check it out. The Book of Doors, yes. That is my pick, friends. I have heard of Greta and Valden, but I haven't read it. We Used to Live Here. I didn't know that was a debut either. Interesting. I've heard amazing things about it, and so, that might win this category because everyone and their neighbor has read it. Masquerade, I have read. I don't think it deserves to win this category, but it was okay. It was definitely a unique story. Nice. Well, you know what my my pick is. So that's all I got for my reactions. I'm really happy that the Book of Doors is on the list. That is the best part of this whole thing is that that book made 2 lists. So anyway, on to the outro me. So I think I did pretty well. 14 out of 20 correct is not bad at all for my predictions. I've definitely gotten better at this. Or maybe this was just an easier to predict. I don't know. Last year, including the points that I could get with the top 10 rankings, I only got 12 points. And so I don't even know how many points I actually got this year because we don't have the top 10. So I can't tell you which ones like in the ranking I've gotten correct, but 14 out of the 20 that I predicted would be in there are in there. So I did beat my goal for this year, which is really exciting. I was a little disappointed to see that I only read 2 of the horror and the romantasy. I'd read one. I did end up looking at sci-fi as well. I'd read 2 out of the sci-fi. Mystery thriller, I think I'd only read 2 as well. So I'm definitely more versed in fantasy, but really 5 out of the 20 in the fantasy category isn't great for me. I think last year I had 7 or 8 that I had read in the fantasy category. And in the horror category last year, I had like 5 or 6. So definitely I was less on my game this year as far as reading new releases that ended up on the list. In the fantasy category, I will tell you that out of the ones left over, I think there's only 5 of them, and I kind of talked to you guys about this within the reaction, but I think there's only 5 of them that I'm really interested in reading. So only half of the fantasy category are books that I am interested in, but I think that's okay. Like this is supposed to be just a broad representation of fantasy, and so I'm not mad at it. I'm really excited that the Book of Doors got into that and into fantasy and debut because I was a little worried because it is a debut that it might not have made the list, but yay, I'm so excited for Gareth Brown. I hope that he wins, but we'll see. I do have one more video for Goodreads planned. I swear I only have one and then I will be done, but I do want to do a reaction to the top winners, and I won't do like a live reaction like I did in this video. I will just talk about the winners after they're announced, whether or not I think I was correct, whether or not they should have won, things like that. I will also in that video tell you what my total points are, since I am going to get additional points if I got different rankings correct. And I will also in that video include some books that are not included in the list that I think should have been. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of the long lists. Were there any books that you were really disappointed didn't make the list, or were there any books that you were really excited actually you know, got nominated. Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to chat with you guys about this long list for 2024. If you aren't feeling chatty today, just leave me a little list emoji in the comments so I know that you are here. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.